getting sick. I hope I'm not getting sick. I really don't. I really don't want to be sick right now. Okay, on to the topic of today. A friend wanted me to stream Diablo 2 Resurrected to him in the closed beta last week, and I was happy to oblige. He, just like me, had played Diablo 2 very much before, and I mentioned that the Diablo 2 Resurrected seems to be going off pretty much the same base code as the original Diablo 2, with much more of just a reskin and some added animations. And I'm not saying that's bad. I actually like Resurrected. It looks really great, and I love that the original things are still there. Now, I had some what should we call them? Flashbacks, encountering same old bugs as the original game, which was kind of fun actually. But there was one thing that worried me a little bit that my friend pointed out, and that is bots. Bots, you know, those computer controlled player characters. This became a huge issue with Diablo 2, the original game. Now, am I against bots? To a degree, yes. There's one thing they do well, and that is the main source of experience, especially in later stages of of the game, when you reach 60, 70, 80, and 90, and I mean, the level system goes up to 99, if you didn't know. The level cap is 99. Now, to get to 99, you need to grind for a long time. I think my highest character was 88, maybe? And that was a druid. The druid became my favorite, mostly because how well it worked for me when I played that character. I found good stuff, and I managed to trade, and did it most of my own, but of course I had friends who helped me with some. They found some stuff, and we traded and so on. But bots could be used by some players, were used to do these ball runs, as they were called. Ball runs are basically you go to the last boss in the last act and kill him. Because before you actually face the boss himself, he sends out waves of minions against you. And you kill these waves of minions, and then you kill him. Now, these ball runs involved killing all of these waves and then killing the boss. Now, the bot was usually the one who started the game and teleported to the boss and most likely killed just about everything. Now, the boring part was that, I mean, when a level 90 hammered in paladin, which was usually what the bot was, because hammered in paladins are very adept at killing everything, because they're very strong, especially with the right gear. So you could just stand there and do nothing and gain all the XP that you wanted. Now, the bot, as it is computer controlled, it was also very fast at picking up things. So if a rune or a unique item or anything like that dropped, well, chances were that you weren't gonna pick that up, because the bot would be there in that. Just like that, and the thing is gone. Now, the bad thing about bots, people do make some arguments that, I say that they're bad because they could ruin a good game, because some used bots for making ads. Basically, they came into your game if it was open, and they had a copy-paste text that just rambled onto the chat, and then they left. It all took maybe 2-3 seconds or something like that. And then they gone, and if too many bots were to join your game at the same time, it could actually ruin the game so that other players couldn't even join. I mean, first of all, the big game became full because there could only be 8 players in a game at once, and you could easily get 7 bots into your game in under 5 seconds. But they could also ruin the game itself, that after they had left, because usually they become just 1 or 2 waves came and then it went. Then no more bots would came, maybe 1 or 2 at certain intervals, but nothing, no waves like 10 of them at the same time. Not that it could be, but yeah, you know what I mean. The problem is that they could ruin the game to the point that that other players couldn't even join, even if the game was just you in the game and there was no one else in it. They could ruin the game, like the code of the game could be ruined so that it couldn't be joinable. Now this is a small issue because many players didn't use bots like this. These were mostly like some kind of advertisement company or website that you did this. But players used most of these bots to get the high runes. The high runes are the ones used for the really good shit in the game. Rune words are the thing in the game, and rune words are made up of runes, and different runes are made for different things. Now, the higher the item, the higher the runes, and the higher the runes, the more rare they are. And the most rare runes were almost impossible to find. I mean, you had to grind for hours and hours on end to get just one, if you're lucky. So many use these bots to get these high runes and possibly some unique items. For example, there were these rings, Stone of Jordan. Yes, oh sorry, Stone of Jordan. But I can't remember how rare these were or how valuable they were, but there were those. And then we had the Shako, which was a cap, just an ordinary cap. Well, a cap that dropped in hell difficulty, but still a cap. A unique cap that was green and gave 1 to all skills. This one was sort of sought after by many different players because it was needed to some builds, because it was a pretty good cap. We gave 1 to all skills, or maybe 2 to all skills, and some other things that made it really valuable. And of course we have other items as well, of course. But the point is, considering that there's plenty of players not only used one bot, they could use 5, 10 or even more bots at the same time, and these were going through and picking up all these runes, not from other players necessarily. They made their own games, their own private games with password and game name. So they didn't ruin the experience for other players like that, but they could destroy the economy of the game, like making, say, a bot, or say you're playing solo and you are in hell difficulty after some hours of grinding and playing and so on, and you find a valuable rune or valuable item, a unique item. You think, oh, I could possibly sell this to another player for a pretty good price. And then you create a game and you try to sell it, but you realize it's not worth that much because there are so many other players that already have this item, because there are so many bots running through these games and have already found that item like 10,000 times already. It doesn't get much better than that. Now, of course, there are also the problem that they could be overflowing the market with runes. That, for example, if you're not using a bot and you find a rune and you think, oh, I can trade this for something. No, you can't, because that rune it's high, but it's at the same time pretty worthless, because the bots have overflown the market, and if you want to buy something with that rune, it costs like maybe 20 of those runes. Because there are too many runes in circulation. Kind of like if you overflow a real world currency with too much, it gets worthless. So there was one instance I remember where I was gonna buy a armor or something, or I wanted it, but I couldn't. And I knew I couldn't, but I wanted to see what he wanted for it. And the player said 50 ists. And ist is a rune that is about mid-tier level or something like that. It's a pretty high rune, but it was also, I think 2 or 3 ists were basically a high rune value at a time where I played more. But at that time I had been away from the game for a while, and I came back and he said 50 ists, and I was like, what? And one of my friends said, oh, that's cheap. I was like, what? I mean 50 ists, if I have found ists when doing runs and killing my own things solo, but it's still incredibly rare to find one. I mean, you don't go out like, oh, I found it on my 10th try. No, maybe you found it on your 100th. On your 100th try. 1 in 100 tries. Maybe you find one ist. Maybe. So, yeah, overflowing the market is one problem. And, of course, there's the problem of breaking the game. Now, some people have argued that if we don't use bots, the market will become too expensive, and that is true. If bots don't find things and they become super rare, well, they would go up in price, and things would become harder to get. Like, it would take a lot longer to get the perfect equipment, the perfect rune word, and so on. And that's not so much fun either, actually. I can grind, sure, but I don't want to grind forever to get some of these things, of course. Now, increasing the drop chance of these higher runes, that could be a solution. But finding just the right amount of drop rate is not easy, of course. I have no idea what the drop rate for a high rune is, and of course this could be changed in Diablo 2 Resurrected. I read somewhere on a Reddit post that there's something about a 400% increase in rune drop. I don't know if that was only to Diablo 2, the original, or Diablo 2 Resurrected. Diablo 2 Resurrected isn't out yet, so that could be just a Diablo 2 update, which increased the drop rate of that. Which is not bad. I kind of like that, but 400% sounds a bit much, yes, but considering that maybe the most rare rune have a 0.0000000 something percent chance of actually dropping, 400% ain't that much, really. It's 4 times more likely to drop. Yeah, maybe instead of every 100th try for an ist, maybe it's every 25th or 30th try. But that's just statistics. That doesn't mean it will drop every 25th time. That's just statistically possible. And that would mean, well, every ist is 25th, but every high rune is maybe 1,000. Maybe your 1,000th run you find one. So 400% ain't that much. Even though it sounds much, but it kinda isn't that much. Now, of course, I do not want the game to become Diablo 3. I like Diablo 3. I have no problems with Diablo 3, or little to no problems with Diablo 3. But, yeah, the drop rate of uniques, or legendaries, I should say, and set items are a bit much. I like getting the items I want, but it does still take me maybe a few days, up to a week or two, to get all the items I need for a build. And I don't mean a perfect build, I mean the basic of the build. I mean, I have all the items that I need, but I don't have the perfect version of the items I need. That is one thing. But I don't want it to become Diablo 3 like that. I just want the drop rate to become a bit better, so that you can actually get the things you want. I mean, there are 7 classes to play, and so many different ways to play them. Don't tell me you're gonna run out of time and characters, seriously. Now, another point to this is, or another point I should make is, in Diablo 3 you had seasons, and in these seasons you got like unique cosmetic items. In Diablo 2 you had ladder seasons, it was called, and in these they had unique rune words that can only be made in ladder. And once the season was over, your ladder characters were they didn't disappear, they just became non-ladder characters. And they still had those ladder rune words that were unique to the seasons, ladder seasons. Now, because of this, they were a bit more expensive in the non-ladder lobbies. If you traded with players that were non-ladder with your previously ladder character, they could be sold for a bit more because they were more rare there. And this is being dropped in Diablo 2 Resurrected. They will have no ladder unique rune words or events or anything like that. Rune words, all rune words and uniques will be available in both non-ladder and single player. Same with the Pandemonium event, which I honestly can't remember which one that is. And Uber Worlds, or Uber Diablo, or whatever you want to call it. I do remember those ones. Those ones are a bitch. Anyway, those two, the Pandemonium event and Uber Diablo, will also be available in single player, if you like to play single player. Which I do. I do play single player. I don't really get what single player is, though, in Diablo 2 Resurrected, since everything is connected to the Battle.net, and is there a single player in Diablo 2 Resurrected? I'm not so sure. I mean, you can just press play and play offline without having other players be able to join you, but I mean, you're still online. You still have an online server game. It's not, but if you press lobby and then create a game, that is something entirely different, because then other players can join. And if you create a password, they need the password, of course, and the name of the game. But I am glad that the ladder thing is being reworked so that all rune words are on the same, but that also makes me think, what is the point of ladder? What will ladder be unique to, except for the leaderboards? I think there are leaderboards in ladder. Never cared for those, so that won't be something for me. So anyway, but bots. No, I don't want them. I do not want them in Diablo 2 Resurrected. I'm against them. Increase the drop rate, not drastically, but increase it so that the rare uniques and runes becomes more available, a higher chance of dropping. In hell, that is. I mean, in normal and in nightmare, keep it as it is. Sure, why not? Although I would argue that set items, low-level set items in normal should drop more occasionally, because once you get a set item in Diablo 2, you're probably level 20 already, and it's a level 3 set item, and you're like, crap! And then you throw it over your shoulder and never look back. So set items could use a slight boost, maybe. Yeah. But that is it for me in this Diablo 2 Resurrected bots video, and I want to know your thoughts. I'm open to any feedback, and if you have anything at all, any questions or any feedback on this, please leave it in the comments, and I hope we can have a discussion about this. I've been Swippy92, have a great life, and hope to see you in future videos. Bye bye!